Hello, beautiful people. Today is 18th of July. My name is Sahil and welcome to Newspaper Analysis. Friends, today we'll take a quote from Peter Drucker, who happens to be an educationist and a profound thinker. He says that an ultimate resource in economic development is people. It is people, not capital or raw material, that develops an economy. And this particular thing even seems to be true into the course of present pandemic. So guys, into this particular light, it becomes very much important that government should take the steps to mobilize the human resource labor that had receded back due to the phenomena of the reverse migration. Moreover, this particular quote also points towards the importance of demographic dividend which comes due to the young demography which India is having at this particular point of time. So guys, this particular quote we can use into the questions writing onto the GS paper number 3, mobilization of human resource, as well as GS paper number 2, social justice. Now guys, the main question that I gave you yesterday, so this question was from GS paper number 2, social justice. It was a 10 marker. Question says, recently disabled has been provided with same entitlement as scheduled caste and scheduled tribe. Do you think that this step by Supreme Court will cure all the challenges that disabled are facing? Discuss. Now guys, first of all, as I say you every day, your answer should be in three parts: intro, body and conclusion. Now, first of all, guys, see the tone of this particular question. The question says that do you think that it will cure all the challenges? So it is an extreme kind of statement, and you know that into the complex societies, even more complex phenomena of justice cannot be solved by one panacea or by one magic pill. So essentially, here you will be appreciating the Supreme Court's judgment, but here you need to take a stand towards the last that even more needs to be done, even more reforms are to be carried. So please keep this thinking line in your mind. Now you can start your introduction by telling about the situation of disabled in India. So guys, according to 2011 census, nearly 2.21% population of India is constituted by the disabled. Moreover, at the same time, India has signed as well as ratified the Convention on the Rights of the Person with Disabilities and had pledged that all the rights as well as entitlements will be given to the disabled people. And along with all of them, under the DPSP Part 4 of the Indian Constitution, Article number 41 places an obligation onto the state to provide assistance to the people who are in need. So, guys, this is all a mandate for which the state is bound to look after the disabled, but we know that the justice for these people has not been there onto the significant landscape. These people also face the discrimination because there is no representation of them into the education as well as in employment. Therefore, to rectify this particular thing, Supreme Court has said that onto the lines of the scheduled caste and scheduled tribe, reservation also needs to be given to the people. Now here we can see that obviously it will be opening up the doors for opportunities and will pave the way for the career progression, as given the problems that they face due to the disabilities, a level playing field will be created only after giving the affirmative action. But here now you will write that still much more is needed to be done, because it is not only the availability which matters, rather it is the accessibility as well as implementation which is needed to be carried. And guys, in this particular direction, here we can write a old program which government of India started, that is Sugam Bharat or Accessible India campaign, where government aimed to bring more accessibility of disabled with respect to the government spaces, government department resources, etc. So on this particular line, even more steps are needed to be taken. Moreover, people also needs to be sensitized that the special needs of the disabled are needed to be taken care of. So on all the levels, the reforms are to be carried, and though this is a very good start. So guys, onto this particular framework you need to write. This is a line of thought on which you will be developing. So that's it, and now let's take the newspaper analysis. Now guys, first let's take the overview of the entire paper first. First of all guys, day-to-day development into the political horse trading not important for our exam. 2% COVID-19 patient in ICU not important because data will change. Then the human trials for Covaxin has been started. Already we discussed the entire Covaxin issue. Moreover, this is just a stage, nothing important has come here. After that, guys, earthen embankment have been mentioned with respect to the Assam flooding. So with respect to the exam, we'll be taking this up. Then, guys, into the city section, you can see that nothing important news with respect to the exam has been given, and the same thing goes for the next page also. Now again, here you can see that nothing important has been given. And finally, into the editorial section. Now, guys, first editorial is on to the Iran matter. Now, guys, here excellently we will discuss the entire issue from all the dimensions. And I believe after this, you need not to read any article on to the Iran, China, and India. So we'll be seeing this thing. After that, guys, the matter of the university examination have been mentioned. So we'll be seeing the issues respect to the exam. Then, guys, the horse trading going in Rajasthan has been mentioned. The political viewpoint has been there, not important for the exam. Now, guys, India has reached the 10 lakh cases, not important because this data will be changing and nothing substantial has come out here. Then, guys, Telangana's COVID trial, not important for the exam. Then after that, on to the next page, the Tamil Nadu has emerged as a top investment destination. So we'll see how we can use it into the exam. Then, guys, here the rare pangolin has been mentioned. So we'll see with respect to the exam. Then moving forward, reformed multilateralism has been mentioned. So we'll see what has happened here. Now here, guys, just a food for thought. So political parties here in Bihar are saying that they don't want to go for the digital campaign because people don't have the accessibility to the mobile phones, smartphones. So you just tell me, is it right or wrong? On one hand, there is the argument that the social distancing needs to be preserved. On to the other hand, there is one more argument that meaningful democracy cannot be carried if proper campaigning is not there. So, guys, just think on this particular line. However, in news, there is nothing important. Now, guys, the data with respect to the health has been given, not important. The draft EIA notification has been mentioned. Then, guys, the single curriculum matter has been mentioned. So we'll see with respect to the exam. Now, guys, here you can see that Nepal is saying that Lord Ram has been born into the Nepal. Guys, very much political sensitive issue it is. Please don't go into such kind of things. However, please remember the name of the place, Thori, where the Nepal says that the Lord Ram was born. Now, guys, moving forward, showcase not important. Then onto the world page, guys, one news has been there where the Taiwan is being forced to sign the One China document. We'll see what has been mentioned here. Then, guys, onto the business, only the corporate related news are there. And now the sports page, nothing important. And now let's have the newspaper analysis in detail. Now, friends, starting up, the first news item which we can see here is concerned with the flooding into the Assam. Now, guys, we'll not just go into this particular news, rather, we'll see the entire background. So, you might have heard that every year Assam floods, and because of this flooding, a huge damage is caused into the Assam. Now, guys, first could be the reason behind this flooding. So, we will discuss them one by one. First of all, guys, focus onto this pictographic. Here you can see that Assam is majorly being braided by the Brahmaputra river, which originates into the Tibet, then it enters into the India via Arunachal Pradesh, and from Arunachal Pradesh it enters into the Assam. Now, guys, first of all, see the terrain from where it is originating, the Tibet, and we know that this region is arid and it is devoid of the vegetation, and we know that when the vegetation will not be there, the soil would not be bound by the roots. And guys, in this particular capacity, when the river flows from the Tibet, it brings a lot of silt along with it, so it is a natural factor. After that, there is also one man-made factor. Now, guys, into the recent years, the Tibet region is being populated by China, and due to that thing, a lot of construction activity and etc. is going on, which generates a debris which reduces the flowing space for the river, and as a consequence, even more silt is carried by the river. So, this is a man made factor. And this particular thing we can verify into this pictographic also. Guys, here you can see that Brahmaputra is the fourth into the world with respect to the discharge at mouth, the fourth largest, and the third largest in sediment yield. So, guys, this all silt is now carried into the Assam region, and Assam region is particularly low lying when compared to the region of Tibet. So here it becomes difficult for the river to carry that silt, and that silt is now deposited into the course, due to which the course becomes clogged or choked, and here the river enters into the region where people are living and the flooding is caused. After, guys, there is one more reason you might not be finding it into the normal textbook. See, guys, the region here is earthquake prone, and because of this particular region, the rivers have not stabilized with respect to their course, and they often have tendency to shift their courses, and due to no stable paths, often the river breach the course in which it flows, and therefore the flooding also comes. And now, in order to control all this thing, the embankments have been created onto the course of river. Embankment is something like a wall, so that river doesn't leaves the path. But the issue is that the majority of these embankments were created or were established during the 1960s and 70s, and since 1990s they have been very much vulnerable. They have turned weak. But what happens, every year they are just rebuilt or they are repaired. But as again the season comes, they are not able to hold back the flow of the river. So, guys, it is an example as how government inaction is leading to misery of life as well as property. So at this particular point of time, we can provide a way forward that government needs to invest in building the stable and more durable infrastructure with respect to the river management. Moreover, government can also carry other things. For example, it should carry the dredging of the river so that the silt from the river can be removed at regular intervals. But, guys, the dredging has one problem also, that it disturbs the river health, and therefore the life form living into the river, they will be impacting by the dredging and such activities. But, guys, still some middle path could be adopted. So, friends, here the weakened embankment is one reason, but we need to see this entire issue holistically. So that's it, and now we'll move to next. Now, guys, we are into the editorial section, and in this particular editorial, we will be seeing certain dimensions with respect to the Iran. Now, guys, first of all, why Iran is important to India? So there are two reasons. One is directly Iran is important, and other is indirect. So, guys, directly, you know that Iran holds one of the largest untapped hydrocarbon resources, such as the natural gas as well as mineral oil, and therefore, in order to preserve the energy security of India, the cooperation with Iran is very much essential. Moreover, guys, in Iran has always been favorable to India with respect to the hydrocarbon export to India. For example, there was earlier the rupee real agreement, under which even Iran agreed that they will receive the payment in terms of rupee. So, guys, Iran has always been cooperative here. Secondly, Iran is an important market of for Indian exports for food grains, chemicals, and capital goods. Therefore, much needed forex in terms of export payments also comes from the Iran. And third is the strategic reason. So, guys, if you'll see the location of Iran, Iran is situated at the gateway of the Gulf, and the entire Gulf region is important to India in terms of large number of Indian diaspora expatriates that are working into the region. Then the trade that India is having. Moreover, this entire region provides the energy security along with the Iran. So therefore, the strategic importance is also there, and from very long India had cultivated the good relations. Then the second is that there are also the indirect reasons for which the Iran is important, and the most important indirect reason is the access to Afghanistan. Now, guys, on paper, we say that India shares a border with Afghanistan, but we know that access of border is not there with the Afghanistan, and therefore, Afghanistan has been isolated from the India. But this isolation we can't afford because of certain reason. Number one, guys, there is a huge resource base in Afghanistan which can be exploited by India. For example, if you'll see onto the map, here you can see the Haji Kak mines, and these Haji Kak mines boast a very huge resource of iron ore. And for its exploration, India had even signed an agreement with the Afghanistan. Then, guys, the next reason is the terrorism. We know that Afghanistan is a breeding ground for terrorist outfits such as the Al Qaeda, LAT, JEM. Now, guys, in order to preserve the internal security of India in regions such as Jammu and Kashmir, we need to control the terrorism in Afghanistan, because it is a major propagator of terrorism into the region. Then, guys, as a part part of neighborhood policy of India, the regional development happens to be an agenda of India, and therefore ensuring the Afghanistan's regional development is also an important priority. After that, in order to have a strategic leverage over Pakistan, we need to have a good relation with the Afghanistan. So, guys, for all these regions, Afghanistan is important. But you know the problem that we don't have direct accessibility to Afghanistan. So, here Iran comes into the picture, because by including Iran, we will be working on two planks. Number one, we will strategically involve Iran because Iran also has the importance. Secondly, we will reach the Afghanistan. Hence, efforts to develop the Chabahar port, which is situated onto the Makran coast, that started since 2003 between three countries, that is Iran, Afghanistan, and India. Master plan was to develop the Chabahar, and from Chabahar, the Zehdan will be linked with the railway line. And guys, from Zehdan, the entry will be made to the Zaranj, which is situated into the Afghanistan. And then the Zaranj will be connected to the Deleram, and from Deleram will reach to Kandahar, Kabul, and here into this vicinity rise the Haji Kak mines. And guys, the Chabahar port will be the entry point as well as exit point for the iron ore coming from the Haji Kak. Now, guys, this iron ore will be flowing back to the India via the Kandla port and will also be consumed by the Iran. So it is a win-win situation for all the countries. But there was one problem. Problem was that the India and Afghanistan can start the process, but Iran can't come on board because of the sanctions that was imposed by USA onto the Iran, because Iran was running the nuclear enrichment program, which the world countries are skeptical that Iran will be using against the adversaries. However, during this particular time, India focused onto the Zaranj Dileram highway, and Zaranj Dileram highway was completed in 2008. So the construction towards the side of Afghanistan was completed, but Iran was still into the limbo. However, in 2016, one good news came, as the joint comprehensive plan of action was signed between Iran and the P5 countries, permanent five, along with the Germany and European Union. And it was said that Iran will open up its nuclear facilities for the inspection, and in return, the sanctions will be waived off from Iran. And it was a happy news, because after this particular thing, the developmental efforts into the Iran could be focused. And guys, in 2016 only, then an MOU was signed between the Iran as well as India to again restart the works onto the connectivity of Iran, Afghanistan, and India, which has been not completed since 2003. And here, the IRCON, the PSU of India, and Iran came in agreement that the IRCON will develop the railway link between the Zehdan and Iran. However, guys, again a problem came on this particular front, that India was apprehensive that India might attract the sanctions from the USA if it goes forward. However, USA says that there will be no sanctions and India can go forward, and India started the development. And now, as we talk of development, see, guys, the entire development we can divide in three legs. One is the Afghan side development, and we had already seen that in 2008 the Zaranj Dileram highway was completed. After that, the next is the development at the Chabahar. So, guys, into the Chabahar, actually there are two ports. One is the Shahid Galantari and other the Shahid Behesti. On Shahid Behesti, India developed the two terminals, and these terminals even became operational in 2018. But guys, we know that in order to connect both of them, it is very much important that the Chabahar Zehdan railway link is to be completed. And for that particular thing, already we had seen that the IRCON and Iran signed an MOU in 2016. But guys, there was a problem. As I told you, that India was apprehensive of USA, and USA though gave the waiver, but actually it took a long time to clear the heavy consignments or shipments that have to come to the Iran, and due to this thing, entire thing was delayed. And as a consequence of this particular delay, now Iran has said in 2020 that they will not be going with the India onto the construction of the Chabahar Zehdan railway. Rather, on their own, they will develop this entire thing. And further, even Iran has said that they will even be extending the railway line from Zehdan towards the Mashhad, and from Mashhad they will be going to the Sarak, which happens to be onto the boundary of Turkmenistan, so that they can get the connectivity to the entire Central Asia. Moreover, guys, from here they will also be going towards the Bandar Anzil, and this Bandar Anzil is onto the Caspian, and through Caspian they will further connect to the INSTC, that is International North South Transport Corridor, which culminates into the Russia. And in all this thing, China is playing an important role, as China has signed a strategic partnership with Iran worth $400 billion. Now, guys, a question comes that why China is being preferred by the Iran. So, guys, for this particular thing, the answer could be found into the dynamics that is going into the region. You know that the Donald Trump had pulled back from the 2016 Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, which has taken, and now Iran is apprehensive of the USA, as again the sanctions have been imposed on Iran. How Iran will develop. Secondly, guys, into the recent times, there have been mysterious strikes onto the Iranian cities such as Natanz, which happens to be a nuclear facility, as well as in Bushehr, which is a shipyard as well as a nuclear facility. And Iran thinks that behind these strikes, there is the hand of US as well as Israel. So again, an anger is there into the Iran. And this anger increased even further, guys, because in January you might have seen into the news that USA sponsored the killing of the IRGC commander Qasim Soleimani. Guys, IRGC stands for Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, and because of this, the Iran is again angry with the USA. And friends, we know that enemy's enemy is the friend, and who is right now the enemy number one of USA? That is the China. Therefore, Iran has extended the hand of friendship towards China and had signed the deal with the China, so that the maximum pressure can be exerted onto the USA. Moreover, there is also one more reason, guys. You know that into the United Nations Security Council, China is among the P5 member. Therefore, China has a veto power into the UNSC. And into the future, if USA wants to take any action against the Iran due to any kind of its policy, then USA needs to approve the proposal into the UNSC, and there China will be using the veto power and will save the Iran. So Iran has made a very strategic move here. But at the same time, a question develops that what does it means for India? So guys, India should not be that much apprehensive, because it is not done specifically against India. Rather, this action of Iran is against the USA. So there is still ground that India can improve or can repair the relation with the Iran. And guys, moreover, there is also one more thing, that from very start, Iran has been apprehensive with the partnership with the China, because Iran know the debt diplomacy which always China plays, and therefore as a reliable partner, Iran will be falling at the end of the day to the India. Only India needs to find the common ground, as how both India as well as Iran can engage the Taliban, how India can assist in bringing the regional prosperity, and thirdly, how India can make Afghanistan accessible to the Iran. So, guys, on these three grounds, we can find a common ground. But this entire episode should be taken as a lesson by India, and India should go very expeditiously and should remove all the delays with respect to the implementation of infrastructure projects with other neighbors such as Nepal, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, etc., so that such kind of thing doesn't repeats into the future. So, guys, that's all. And after this, I don't believe you need to read anything onto the Iran, India, and China. So that's it. Now we'll move to next. Now, friends, into this particular article, there is a criticism given with respect to the higher education system in India. Now, in past few days, UGC is giving certain guidelines with respect to the examination. Now guys, for the other year students, it has been said that their examination could be dropped and they could be promoted onto the basis of their past performance as well as the marks of the internal assessment exams. However, for the final year students, UGC has said that the exams have to be conducted, but it has repeatedly postponed the exam date due to the inability to conduct the exam into the time of the pandemic. So guys, the insistence of UGC onto the exam for final year depicts the reliance of our education system onto the exam, and our entire system has been turned exam centric, which is only concerned onto the ability of a student to memorize the crude facts, to memorize the events, and it is not concerned with respect whether a student is able to practically apply the concepts which he has learnt or not. Moreover guys, the concept of open book test also came, but it has been seen that the open book exam also had seen the backlash, and it particularly depicts that even the teachers are not efficient enough to set the papers corresponding the requirements of the open book test. So guys, into this particular episode, we can again see an example as how education system is under a crisis. Now guys, in all this thing as we are talking, let's take or examine the role of the UGC, which was created onto the lines of the UGC of the USA, whose main objective is to provide the grant or to the funding to the institution. But rather, into the context of India and UGC, it has turned to be a regulator rather than a funder to the universities, and as a result our universities and higher educations are over regulated and underfunded. Even government has repeatedly said that they will be coming with the reforms for the UGC. For example, it was said that the Higher Education Commission of India HECI will be established, but still nothing concrete has been achieved. Moreover guys, at the behest of UGC, we are seeing a federal dispute, because even when the UGC said that the exam will be held, there are many number of states which had already cancelled the exam. So here a federal dispute is also coming. Moreover guys, there are other matters also associated here. For example, UGC has taken this entire issue to be egocentric, and just to satiate the ego, UGC is not backtracking with respect to the exam for the final year. Secondly, we have seen 10 lakh cases plus in India, and according to WHO, they will further increase. And in such circumstances, by holding the exam, the health of the students is being jeopardized. After that, guys, because repeatedly the exam is being postponed and UGC is insisting on to the exam, there are large number of students who have been caught in limbo, and they are not able to apply for the higher education colleges, as well as they are not able to apply for the employment. So guys, on all these factors, it has been said that UGC should not be adamant and should come forward with the reforms. Now guys, just as a deal breaker, UGC then said that it will be holding the internet based exams or the online exams. But again, there is a problem that what about the students who don't have the functional internet, mobile phone, tablet, etc.? Moreover, into the remote regions, even the technical know-how with respect to these things is also limited. So here also there will be a kind of an injustice. So friends, all these are the issues with respect to the examinations or the points against the examination. We can use them directly into the exam if we are writing against the exam pattern. So that's it. Now we'll move to next. Now, guys, here you can see that the Tamil Nadu has emerged as top investment destination. However, name of a particular state is not that much important. But guys, here could be certain insights as what areas have been focused by Tamil Nadu due to which it emerged as a top investment destination. So guys, first of all, it is the windmill equipment manufacturing, which have gave much impetus to Tamil Nadu as it had attracted the investment. Second, guys, it is the semiconductor chip production, because you know that into the coming times, driven by the Internet of Things, the semiconductors will be playing a much important role. And guys, the third one is that Tamil Nadu is the destination localization for 3 out of 5 data centers which are being developed into the country. Other two are into the Maharashtra. And now we'll analyze the three. So guys, windmill equipment manufacturing is a sunrise industry, and as we are going towards the cleaner energy, we need to fulfill our obligations under the Paris Climate Summit. Anyhow, windmill has to be promoted. So guys, other states can also learn from here. Second is the semiconductor. Now guys, the demand for this particular thing will only be increasing, and China is becoming expensive for the cheap manufacturing. So companies are also relocating from China, so into this area other states should also work. And third is guys, the data center happens to be a important industry, because government of India is also going towards the data localization, and large firms have to open up their data centers. So with respect to the IT regime, other states also onto the line of Tamil Nadu should work. Now friends, you don't need to see that how much investment, how many projects have been passed. Just focus on this. So that's it. Now we'll move to next. Now, guys, with respect to the environment and ecology in prelims, here we can see that the pangolin has been mentioned, and the variety of pangolin which has been mentioned is the Manis crassus caudata, which is very rare. Now it was being smuggled and people have been arrested. That is not important. But guys, particularly pangolin is important because the coronavirus which we are seeing, there have been the theories that its origin is into the mutation between the bat and some of the species of the pangolin, and from there it has been mutated and has been passed to the humans. So this is the one reason as pangolin is important, and the second reason is that it is very much rare. So it is commonly called as the Indian pangolin or the thick-tailed pangolin, and onto the IUCN red list, it has been given the status of endangered. Moreover, guys, if we talk about its habitat, it is found into the Nilgiri mountains of the southern India, and the major cause of its vulnerability is because it is hunted for the meat as well as for the medicinal purposes. Further, it has also been listed under the Appendix 1 of the CITES Convention. Now, guys, if we talk about the structure of his body it's characterized by the scales, and due to this particular thing, it can convert into a ball-like creature when the predators are coming near to it. Further, the color of its scale or body also helps it in camouflaging around the nearby surroundings. So guys, this is all about the pangolin. So please keep all these things into your mind for your exam. So that's it. Now we'll move to next. Now, friends, here we will see a passing reference with respect to the statement which Prime Minister has given at the UN meet. So, Prime Minister had talked about reformed multilateralism when he was speaking at a virtual high-level dialogue organized by the ECOSOC, which stands for the United Nations Economic and Social Council. Now, guys, ECOSOC, first of all, it is a principal organ under the United Nations system, and it is headquartered into the New York, USA. ECOSOC mobilizes the coordination for the economic and social development of all the member countries. So guys, the address was organized by it, and their prime minister said that at this particular point we need a reformed multilateral organization, and not only reformed, rather we need reformed plus representative multilateral institutions. And we know all these things are being said because the threat to multilateralism that has been caused into the recent times, such as USA formally pulling out from the World Health Organization. Now guys, it has also been said that the present United Nations system was born after the World War II, which was the time of a crisis, and presently pandemic is also a crisis. So again, into this crisis, a new reformed UN system will be coming out, and exactly this is what required by all the countries. So guys, all the things which has been said here, you could use it as your own when you are writing the answer. Moreover, the prime minister also talked about the 300 billion package that was announced to bring the economy back and to bring other kind of reforms. So guys, all these are the things which has been said just as a reference we can use. So that's it. Now we'll move to next. Now, guys, here with respect to the education reforms, we can see a viewpoint, though it has been rejected by the Supreme Court. So, a petition was filed into the Supreme Court with respect to the merger of school boards. For example, we have the ICSC board, then we have the CBSE board, along with them, there are other state boards also. So, it has been said that in India there should be one nation, one board system, because, guys, what happens? The entrance test to all the major examinations, they are held on to the basis of the syllabus of CBSE, but the students reading the syllabus into the ICSE or other state boards, they are at a disadvantage. So there should be a uniform board, such as the National Education Council or National Education Commission, whatever could be the name. So it has been said that by making a single board, a uniformity with respect to the curriculum, course, learning standard, etc. will be coming, which will be good for the student. So, guys, just a thing. However, it has been refused by the Supreme Court, as it has been said that policy making is not the task of the judiciary, rather policy making is the task of the legislature. So only the legislature could have a call on this particular aspect. But, guys, still an alternative you can keep in your mind. So that's it. Now we'll move to next. Now, guys, here we can see a dramatic move where Taiwan is being forced to sign one China document. So, guys, one China principle is a diplomatic policy which is maintained by the China. And here says that the mainland China as well as Taiwan are both a part of a one entity, that is China. And therefore, Taiwan is not an independent nation, but they are a part of a China. However, Taiwan rejects this thing. And just to bully the Taiwan, China has said that any country which will recognize Taiwan, they will not be having any diplomatic relation with the China. And by using this one China principle, so far Taiwan has a diplomatic relation only with the 515 countries, and even Taiwan is not a part of the organizations such as the WHO. Now, guys, Taiwan maintains the active engagement with the Hong Kong, which was earlier having the autonomous status. But as we know that now the Hong Kong has been imposed with the national security legislation, and now the China's actual governance or the rule over the Hong Kong has been enhanced extensively. So now the China is asking the Taiwan that they should now agree to the one China document if they want to renew their visas to the Hong Kong. So, guys, it is a kind of a arm twisting that Beijing is resorting in just order to bully the Taiwan. So, guys, this thing has happened here. However, so far Taiwan has rejected, but official statements in this particular regard have not came. So this is the entire issue going on here, and now we'll move to next. Now, guys, here just a piece of information will take with respect to the exam, that is air bubble. Now, this particular term is coming into the news because India had signed the air bubble with the France, due to which the flights will be resuming with the France. Moreover, it has also been finalized with the USA, and into the times with the UAE and other countries also it will be coming. So, air bubble is nothing but a kind of a bilateral arrangement where the two countries agree on some similar restrictions and regulations between the flights. So if when two countries are coming into the air bubble arrangement, so it means that they will be having similar policies with respect to the safety, quarantine, screening of the passengers, and all these kind of things. So onto the air bubble basis, now countries are opening up their aviation sector. Now we don't need to see that how many flights will be started, but, guys, this air bubble arrangement is different from the Vande Bharat, under which the flights were being operationalized. Here the fares will be not be the fixed, it will be regulated onto the basis of the demand and supply. And, guys, into the air bubble, only for the essential purpose the travel will be allowed. So, guys, that's it. And as the time will go with so many countries, such agreement will be extended, so you don't need to go into the technical details. So that's it, and now we'll move to next. Now, guys, here the draft EIA has been mentioned because the CPI member has just called it as a discriminatory and against the environment. However, nothing substantial has been given into the article. Now, guys, multiple times we had discussed the draft EIA. However, on 26th July, we had made a very good coverage onto this entire issue at this particular timestamp with respect to the EIA rules, EIA process, new draft, the shortcomings, etc. If you want, you can refer here also, but into the news there is nothing. So that's it. Now we'll move to the question section. Now guys, please pause the video and try to answer the question. So first question is with respect to the sample registration system, so identify the correct code. Now question number 2 is with respect to the postal ballot system, please identify the right code. Now question number 3 is with respect to the anti defection law, so guys, please identify the right code. Now question number 4 is with respect to the Indian Council of Agricultural Research. So guys, please identify the right code. And now the main question for today. So question says that Iran's dropping of India from Zahedan railway is a setback, but it also points to Iran's changing priorities as well as some important takeaways for India. Discuss. Guys, it is a question from GS paper number 2 international relation and is 10 marker. So please write it and tomorrow we will be discussing the framework of this answer. Friends, I hope you are liking our discussion. Thank you so much.